Hello, and welcome back. Northstar here with another quick bit of Singularity. It's always the mind machine exploration. More excuses for you to click endlessly and see very slow progress and hear me talk about random things. Um, excuse me, on my mind. We live in a weird world. Excuse my flipping my words there. Just talking with family about, I'm sure some of you have seen the headlines. Plane crash in Philadelphia, plane crash in D.C. No chief of the FAA because Trump fired the guy, I think it was, or the seat's been unfilled. Basically, because the guy went and tried to sue Elon Musk. The FAA did. And yeah, trying to explain to family this fits in the larger context of Boeing whistleblowers being murdered. Have to deal with a nasty, honestly abusive family members constantly gaslighting me about stuff and refuses to accept facts even when they're shoved in her face. Um, Presenting a little article where the Boeing guy before his death told a friend, "It's not suicide. If I end up dead, it's not suicide," he said to a friend, and then he ended up dead. And the police tried to claim it was suicide. The Boeing whistleblower who died in Charleston, South Carolina, before he could go to court, suspiciously soon before he could go to court. And everyone knows it was murder. They just don't know how to pin it, on whoever did it, most likely Boeing. And so, like, without clear evidence, even though the circumstantial evidence points very clear that way, and it could be someone else, to be fair. I guess I shouldn't say everyone knows, everyone suspects it was Boeing, but, there could have been someone else who wanted to make it look like it was Boeing, or this is why circumstantial evidence itself isn't enough to establish guilt, unfortunately. But unfortunately in this case, because it means probably no one will face consequences for murder, which the police try and claim was a suicide. But anyways, I'm sure anyone who's younger has dealt with this. Parents who are to a unhealthy degree refusing to accept the world we live in, refusing to accept anything has changed since their own day or what they believed was the reality in their own day, that, housing is more expensive, it's more expensive to get your first home, that, companies are doing much more malicious things in the past and they're working together, not screwing each other over, not competing fiercely. Just trying to explain this family years ago, defense contractors used to compete with each other in airline, and they wouldn't. If one of them had murdered, the others would expose. It's like, no, things have changed. Now Boeing and the other defense contractors work together to lobby Congress and do joint advertising campaigns and form a general conspiracy against the public, basically. As Adam Smith would have termed it, anyways. It's a little bit grandiose language, but I'm literally quoting Adam Smith for what he said people of a similar profession would do if they even got in the same room together. He was referring more to professions and trade unions, like professional ones for high paid jobs like architects, lawyers, doctors, but the trend holds for big, businesses and CEOs too. Um, I deal with family who sits there and denies this and is impressively stubborn and arrogant about the world we live in. This particular family member thinks when she dies someday she's gonna leave me a freaking house in a trust where I cannot ever sell it, me or my brother, and it's so arrogant that even if there's anything left, which probably she'll have tons of medical debt from when she, end of life care, so there'd be a huge debt burden to take on with that and then no ability to even move and pursue our own destinies. Um, Probably safer to just refuse to take up the debt or the assets at that point than to be tied to a house in a suburban area that we don't want to be, especially with what's happening in America. May not be safe in this country by that point in the future, especially for someone like me. I've suffered from long COVID. I'm disabled. Disabled people are often the first targeted. And like a fascist takeover, the Nazis historically murdered the disabled before anyone else. And even if it's not that, welfare programs are already being cut. I think Trump already decided he was going to cancel the Medicare program, under which would fall Medicaid and some other programs that affect disabled, and that won't be the last budget cut. So, like, I won't even be able to survive in this country without having to rely on family, which is a toxic situation. If I can't make this YouTube channel make a lot of ad money. Anyways, those of you who've been listening to my Rise of Nations Let's Play, I apologize. The sound was bad. Not recently. My sound software updated, I guess, or one of its dependencies did. Maybe my graphics card, which apparently interacts with my sound software somehow. And an update cleared all the settings, and suddenly, because my sound software literally uses my GPU to do some of its processing for whatever reason. So as a result of that, the sound was like very, very quiet in that last video, and I apologize for that. But yeah, we live in a world where corporations going to literally murder people, get away with it, and the older generation will just make endless excuses for them. I don't think I'm unique in having the experience of family who refuses to see the writing on the wall. Older people can be stubborn. Careful, any of us younger people watching this video or myself will end up the same way when we're older. It takes a conscious effort not to become like that. So, not many people do put in the effort to remain open-minded and flexible and willing to abandon preconceived notions when they get old. Start thinking they knew everything all along, or know everything now. So it's not by accident. It's not inherent to human nature. The system we live in encourages that kind of thinking because it plays into the inherent authoritarianism that underlies our system, especially that underlies capitalism. The idea of bowing to authority, and age is one type of authority. I mean, there's no coincidence that like the fascists used to emphasize the importance of the nuclear family and a father's authority in the family and stuff. It all went down to authoritarian thinking and how that could get people to be more subservient to the state by appropriating the same subservience to a family patriarch, for instance. And nowadays, there's neo-fascists who, well, they'll have women in the ruling authority of a fascist state. I mean, like Italy has a fascist leader who's literally a woman, a neo-fascist leader. But she's still a fascist. Just because she's a woman doesn't make her any less a fascist. So, patriarch, matriarch, the point is subservience to authority so that, people get used to that and will serve the state in its brutal, aggressive wars around the world and such. And yeah, if America continues degenerating the way it is, Trump's already like, oh, we're going to conquer Canada and annex Greenland. Yeah, that kind of big talk may just be bluster. But countries that go this political path do tend to invade their neighbors eventually. So that is a little bit of foreshadowing. of what might actually happen. That's going to make the world so much worse. But I don't know. I guess we can try and see the silver lining in it. Nation states are becoming increasingly irrelevant as corporations become ever more powerful. The US does go and conquer a bunch of territory. It does become a more powerful nation state, and maybe if people ever reestablish control over the government, more capable of staying up to corporations, maybe. But that's only if you can get past the discrimination against the conquered peoples and everyone becomes equal under the law, and that kind of thing takes generations to happen. Sometimes never happens. Part of the root of anti-Mexican racism in the U.S. South is that the U.S. conquered territory from Mexico, like Texas and such, New Mexico. This was taken from Mexico, and it's part of what fed the racism there. As that played into subjugating the conquered people. Try and see a silver lining, but there may not be any. I'm just about done with this clicker thing. I might do one more of these 1 minute boosts here. I don't even know if I can make the next important node this one before its time's out in 2 days. Guess that depends on how long I'm actually on this game. How many times I'll log back in. The point of making those nodes that don't provide logits is they provide badges, which make the same explore event faster in the future, make all explore events faster. And even with some other nodes, like these Vanguard model and stuff, even make the main simulation faster. Of course, what's the point of that? You don't really get anything for getting further in the main simulation past a certain point. I don't know. There really needs to be a feedback loop where the main simulation can speed up the other simulations. After, maybe more nodes that you can buy with metabits, I don't know, something. At least this music is kind of soothing. The Explore events have moved towards more soothing music over time. Alright, well. I do hope you folks enjoyed this video. Somewhat. Maybe. I don't know. It's not an amazing game, but take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. May always find a guiding star to lead you home. Adieu.